Hello everyone, welcome to AT Party Podcast's first ever PSA special. So this is a public service announcement only episode, and yes, our topic today is surrounding the George Floyd situation, the resulting protests, and backlash. Eunice and I spent a lot of time and effort in crafting this response to be as helpful to as many people as possible. So please take a deep breath and stay calm. We hope that you find this PSA helpful, and if you do or you don't, please email us at atpartypodcast@gmail.com to let us know so that we may revise for future episodes. Thank you. Enjoy.
Hey guys, welcome to A Tea Party, a podcast where two Asian American high school students give you the latest tea on down the middle politics and what it's like to be a student from our generation all while drinking tea. So how are you, Sean?
Completely bedazzled.
Dazzle.
I don't even know if that's a word.
I don't know if that word fits what I'm feeling in this situation. My words would probably be emotionally exhausted.
That is the baseline of whatever I'm feeling right now.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, I almost want to say that I'm excited because for once, we're drinking the same thing on this podcast.
This is the silver lining of this week's. It's not exactly an episode. This is a PSA, but we'll get into that later. We're drinking the same thing, and then it happens to be called something different in both of our languages. In Korean, it is Yakult, like that.
Okay, well, in Chinese, it's called 养乐多, so I'm really sorry that...
I'm not even trying to attempt to pronounce that. I know you were being nice and trying to pronounce the Korean way earlier, but I don't want to make myself look bad to all the Chinese and Taiwanese people going to be listening to this podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the George Floyd protest situation, since that's the thing that's been on pretty much everyone's minds, as well as every single national TV station in the last 3 days. But for good reason, rest in peace, George Floyd.
Yes. May he rest in peace. On the topic of the protests, however, today we are spilling the tea on germs. Stick with me, please. Thoughts compete for space in your brain, and a thought without anyone to think it dies. Similarly, a germ without a host dies. Any germ can spread through sneezing or talking or, may I say, physical proximity. Social distance, guys. Therefore, any thought that doesn't die can spread to other people via communication, just like a mental sneeze. Therefore, thoughts can actually be understood as thought germs. This is useful because we can then protect ourselves from exposure to mental sneezes of thought germs online that may cause our emotional state to become, shall I say, agitated.
Opinions on the protests, supportive or not, are thought germs that have been spreading around the internet like COVID. We would like to urge our listeners to exercise caution in order to not get swept away by online interactions, which can tire one out emotionally. I know it has for me. We are all human and we will get through this together in the end, so make sure to take a break every once in a while.
Remember, we are a down the middle podcast, and compromises leave everyone unhappy. See Brexit.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to the position of this podcast, we want to establish this as a down the middle podcast.
Yes.
The position of a tea party. This podcast wants what we all want. Things that right, left, center, we all mutually agree on, which include, first of all, less physical violence overall on all sides, including both writers and police. This is to prevent actions one may take from becoming counterproductive, since violence has a tendency to make any issue more divided than it has to be.
We also support any solution to counter the harsh disadvantages that racial minorities face, because no matter your position, we can't disagree that racial minorities have been disadvantaged and have been facing less safety than others. That much is concrete. Our national conversation regarding this issue, including disagreements, are not about racial minorities being disadvantaged. It's about how to deal with that problem. So while we do not endorse any policies or actions, we do want to help you guys a little bit by letting you share your voice more effectively through tips on how to stay hygienic with your mental sneezes. Perhaps if you are hygienic, we can all achieve what we want and make the real change in the world.
So here is how you can achieve what you believe in. Make sure that you aren't spreading thought germs that exist solely for being angry.
Examples of which include statements, pictures, videos not made to spread information, but made just to make people more angry and violent. For more details, please visit the only link in the show notes or description, where it will lead you to a video that visually explains how thought germs work.
They spread quickly, of course, see Twitter, but also creates more disagreement, which translates to no action, and our goal, everyone's goal, is action no matter what that action may be.
Secondly, if you read or see something designed to be an anger germ, seek to sneeze it in a way that takes action or better yourself. Perhaps attach a helpful germ before you sneeze, or consider if you have to sneeze at all.
Sneeze being sharing tweets or reposting things on Instagram. And finally, our third tip, be the change that you want to see in the world. In other words, lead by example. These are very trying times, and the protests and the issues that the protests are based around are all very sensitive things. So be both physically safe and emotionally
quotient. I think that's the word you're looking for, the definition of which can be found on Google or Wikipedia. So in conclusion, we are in a very sensitive political environment right now, and I hope that this podcast and PSA have helped you become more aware of thought germs and their effect on social media. It's your brain, be hygienic with it, and we're begging you to watch the video we've linked in the show notes because it does a great job of illustrating what we've talked about today. Now, I hope soon, because of your awareness of thought germs, we can see the real change we want. Thank you. This podcast was released on Anchor.fm and distributed to other platforms. The music you're hearing right now and at the beginning of the podcast is composed by Mozart for his opera, The Magic Flute. You can email us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for phrases of the week, critiques, or anything other than those things at atpartypodcast@gmail.com. Please go follow our social media so that you can participate in our fortnightly, that is 2 weeks, poll about whether you want our episode preview to be a chipmunk voice or a normal voice. And our Instagram is @atpartypodcast. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we will see you again soon. Take care.